Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and this bizarre, strange-looking bedfellow that's next to me, my brother from another mother, Mr. Brian E. Roach. We're back. The boys are back in town. I guess that would be a good theme song for us, right? Hey, how's it going, my friend?
Absolutely. It's a beautiful day. It literally is a beautiful day. It's like 60-something degrees. It's crazy, and the weather's going to be up to 70 this week. I don't even understand it. It makes no sense, and I guess spring is sprung.
Maybe not. In Ohio, they call it fake spring. Well, this came from the Cleveland.com website too, but they're absolutely right. You are here, and there's like a list of 12 seasons. So, and the one of them, like I coined the term. Maybe, I don't know. I tend to think I came up with it, but I call it Ogtober in August because there's like this period of time now where it gets too cold to even swim, and then all of a sudden it's hot at the end of the month and beginning of September, and then it's all gone again. It's almost like it's October, but it's not. And it's weird how 60 degrees you want to go out and wear shorts during, after getting out of the winter and the snow and everything. But you get to where the leaves fall and you're like, oh, brr, I need like a
60 degrees is cold. Well, that's because you're acclimated, man. You're acclimated. This is what happens to people who move to the South in Florida.
Oh.
They're acclimated. Now it's like, you act. From the winter, you acclimate to being used to 30 degrees, and then when it's 60, it's like, oh my gosh, I have to strip down, and it's so hot. And then after the summer, you're used to it being 90 degrees, so 60 degrees, you're like, oh, holy crap, I got to wear a winter coat.
No, in Florida, 60 degrees means you're wearing a scarf. Yeah, one of those big bubble coats that look like a life jacket. But anyways,
people live down there that were raised there, then it's okay. But when you come from the north and you move to Florida, and you get acclimated. It's wrong. It's just not right.
I know. I probably personally attacked a lot of people listening right now. One of them would actually be my cousin's a snowbird. He moved down there. He's down in like the Tampa area right now. I got another buddy, but he's a Browns fan, so he doesn't count. He doesn't pay attention to any of this stuff. So actually, quite frankly, neither does any of the family members, cousins, or anybody like that. What good are you? What good are you? So it's just
my family don't pay attention either because none of them are Steelers fans.
Yeah, I kind of feel like left alone sometimes. Like I feel lonely in that regard. But anyway,
you got me. I got you, babe.
Oh man, I'm gonna lay it on thick. I was trying to get Brian here on our schedule together, and he's like, we're all ready, and I'm ready, and then I'm waiting for him, and he's like 5 minutes. So I start sending him like song lyrics sometimes, and this one was so long. I've been looking too hard. I've been waiting too long. I don't sing, so just
clearly,
yeah. But Foreigner, doing
yes.
Foreigner. Yeah, so
been waiting for a co-host like me to come into your life.
Maybe I've been waiting to get on with me and the professor talk a lot, and even more than what you see in the back room. Sometimes we're texting back and forth on stuff, and it's just like I wish we could bottle that and put it here, like record it and put it here, because his schedule is crazy right now with the spring football stuff and that. And,
yep.
But we come up with so many things, and a lot of stuff is going to be the stuff we're talking about today. I guess we should get to the point, maybe. Free agency is almost here, about a week away, Brian, 4 o'clock.
It's fall season.
Yeah, fall. Anyway, that's the way Punxsutawney Phil didn't look at his shadow, or did he? I don't remember if he saw it. Does it really matter? Does that really count? I wonder about certain superstitions too, but we'll just leave that there. March 17th, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. is always the magical time. Everybody's got till 4 p.m. Right now we're in the flurry of franchise tagging and everything of that nature. And the Steelers, we're going to talk about just the Steelers impending free agents or that may be here, because if we go through, I don't even want to go through a potential list yet because we still don't know everyone that might be tagged and everyone else who may be talking and getting new contracts with their teams. And I guess as soon as we do talk about that, some of it may be invalidated anyways, but we hope to do that later in the week. We still got other topics to talk about. We'll eventually talk about the offensive line. We'll get there at some point. We'll find out. And a little bit of it today because we got a couple of names here that are on the list. We got a whole list. I think I'm going to go through this. Yes, the list. I expounded on some of this over at SteelCityUnderground.com, too, if you happen to see the article. I know sometimes you are a learned man who reads. I just think of Wayne and Wayne's World. And Garth, I never learned to read. But anyways, I'm going to go through some of these. Some of these we got a lot more to talk about than others. Obviously, the top of the list is Bud Dupree. I'm going to say pass, table. We'll do that later, after we do this list. So Avery Williamson, man, we haven't even talked about this guy since he was practically traded to the Steelers. So
right,
happy trails, sayonara. Just
thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you for your service,
or lack thereof, whichever it was.
I don't want. I'm going to come off a little mean spirited about a little bit of this, but it's more or less the business end of football here. Avery wasn't exactly the fit, especially for the guys who got hurt. Devin Bush, even Robert Spillane. I'm not even sure putting him in Vince Williams' role is necessarily. I don't think the fit. Coming in mid-season, that's a little tough. I still think he's an all right player. He'll probably do something for someone, sign another contract, make some money. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. I don't expect any, not even a chirp about his return.
Nope.
Alejandro Villanueva, we could say this one real quick because I don't expect him back either.
Neither do I.
Nope.
Nope.
A little more of happier trails. Thank you for your
I got to
service.
tell you, I don't remember what insanity I read the other day, because I will occasionally, peruse non-Steel City Underground websites and articles as they relate to the Steelers, just to see if anybody else out there has any brains at all. No. There's a couple. I could give a shout out to one, but I'm going to wait because I'm going to surprise you with it.
Well, did you have a point to that? Because I got one right here.
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I have a point to that. Some moron thinks it's the top priority to re-sign Alejandro Villanueva because he did such a great job last year. What the hell games were you watching? Who the hell?
They were watching Game Pass, and they had the wrong year selected.
Apparently.
Yes.
Morons.
Well,
morons.
That's okay. I hate even clicking on this. This is one of the top stories on Google. Oh, yeah, it did. It was. Oh, man. I used to write for these guys, too. While I was still here, I used to do... Actually, the podcast was simulcast, and maybe some folks had heard it over there. I really hate to... I like Jeff, but some of the guys, I think sometimes they're just... They have a quota. Jeff Hartman, he didn't write this for Behind the Steel Curtain, but another gentleman did. I'll protect the guilty. You can go read it and give them some clicks. They can get some ad revenue here. Mason Rudolph is quietly gaining leverage against the Steelers. That's today's article. What leverage? He is not signing a contract right now. This is just like, let's see what might stick on the wall. Some of these places, they have X amount of articles they have to put out per month, per day, per week, and this is the type of stuff you get. So sometimes it's not even no fault of theirs. They have to creatively come up with the junk to put up here. No, he's not. There's no leverage. He's entering his final year of his contract. His leverage would be if somebody gets hurt and he has a great season. You know what I mean? Yes. So where'd we leave off?
Doing anything.
We only went 3 names through this. We got a lot that's going to come off this asked and answered for March 9th here from Bob Labriola also. Because there's a whole lot here about contract restructures and talk of some of these free agents. Some more. Matt Filer.
More important than Alejandro Villanueva.
Yeah, I would say so, especially since he's position versatile. Yeah. I'm going to come back around to Mike Hilton. I'm going to come back around to Tyson Alualu. Let's see, another offensive lineman, Zach Banner. It pretty much sounded like the Steelers were interested in bringing him back from all the chatter of, hey, you're going to compete for the left tackle spot.
Also more important than Alejandro Villanueva.
Well, the thing is, Alejandro Villanueva was what, 33 going on 34, late bloomer. He's pretty much realized his peak, I believe. It's nothing against him.
The article I read speculates
he
goes to the Colts.
I saw
for
that.
a 2-year deal, and I'm like, I'm all in for that. Go ahead.
Well,
let Alejandro Villanueva sign a big contract for 2 years, and we will happily take the compensatory pick for that.
Spot Track, one of the salary cap sites. In fact, that's what I'm looking at right now on this list, and overthecap.com. Overthecap.com's better. Sorry, Spot Track, just some of your information's a little off, whoever contributes that, but wherever they get it. Anyways, Zach Banner. Okay, that's a quick one because we got more to talk about with offensive line at some point to actually talk about him. Plus, we may see some moves coming in the next week, and then we'll really be able to talk about offensive line. Cassius Marsh. Nope. Don't even think he's.
See you later. Bye.
If he was coming back, even for camp, they would have already signed him.
Yeah. Out.
Juju, pass. We'll come back to that. Sean Davis, not right away.
I don't care.
It's not a priority free agent, at least. Yeah,
I don't care.
He didn't really get.
What
on
is
the
his
field.
market? He has no market.
He's no.
So if you need the body later on, he knows the system. Fine, but you're not going to pay him a big deal.
It reminds me of Will Allen. It was a guy that went
very similar.
Left. Yeah, just spot starter maybe. Got in there because they didn't have anybody else, or Shamarko Thomas didn't pan out, things of that nature. Let's see, Jordan Berry. Jordan Berry's 30 years old, man. I didn't realize that. Not that it matters. Punters play until they're 65, maybe 67. That's Social Security age now.
Going to draft Drew Cashman in the 7th round.
Ooh. Hey, they still have
from the Ohio State University. That's going to be your competition for Jordan Berry in the.
They still have Corliss Waitman under contract too. I do believe.
Who cares?
Hey, they kept them on the. Well, I think some of it may be the COVID and the bubble. They didn't really have a bubble, but you know what I mean. I think it was some of those precautions, maybe.
Sure.
And there was speculation he was going to get a shot at some point during the season too, and that didn't end up happening. Let's see. J-Ron Elliott, not a priority free agent.
Nope.
Chris Wormley, underwhelming. Could be a depth guy if they end up bringing him back in a week or two or something. Jordan Dangerfield.
Tough to say because he was hurt, for several games.
Yeah,
so.
That's true too. Jordan Dangerfield's a guy who's carved out one heck of an NFL career for being constantly on and off rosters.
He's a key special teams guy, and as long as that's what he sees his role, if he wants to play defense, then he'll go elsewhere. If he wants to continue the role that he has with the Steelers, and they can afford to figure out how to do it for him, sure, why not?
Yeah, and they've relaxed some of these rules, practice squad wise and whatnot. And I do believe we haven't had any owners meetings or league meetings like this yet, but I do believe a lot of the things that they relaxed last year. I don't know that they're totally out of the woods with the whole COVID protocol thing, but what I want to say here is that even if they were, I think some of that stuff is going to be adopted permanently. Expanded practice squads and the way there's player movement and flow. Of course, the extra 2 game day players for the roster from 53 to 55. That's something that was in the CBA to begin with, but it was the 16 players on the practice squad. I think it makes too much sense. I like that. I think the teams liked it. I think the injured reserve rules, the 3-week thing, instead of going back to, it used to be you were done, period. Then it was you could bring one guy back after 9 games or whatever. They had to miss half a season, period. Then it was you could designate 2 players. And then last year it became basically it was three games. I don't think it was 3 weeks. Was it 3 weeks or 3 games? I get confused because there was some discrepancy there with the actual terminology. But as long as you sat out whatever that period of time was, I think it was games, because I want to say there was a hiccup with the scheduling. Things got moved around and it screwed someone from coming back earlier or later than what they were supposed to, non-Steelers related, because really the Steelers didn't have too many COVID issues. It was everybody else that was screwing the Steelers up last year. But yeah, Jordan Dangerfield, man, he's been in the NFL. He came in with Towson. There's another small school. I've actually been there before. That's in the Baltimore area, Brian.
I did not know that.
Not far from you, man.
Tomorrow you can ask me where it is, and I will not know.
And they are the Tigers, man. I looked that up. I remembered that. How about that? That's some Gil Brandt type knowledge there, man. Let's see. Buffalo Bills 2013 practice squad member, and then he was with the Steelers in 2014, went to the Brooklyn Bolts, and then has been off and on with the Steelers from 2014 to now. So that's quite some time, and he's 30 years old. He'll be 31 on Christmas Day this year. So, yeah, we'll see. Jordan, obviously a key special teams guy, and that's somebody that's going to break the bank. But I like mentioning some of that because we brought up myself and Noah. We brought up Chase Daniel, and now that's coming up as part of trade talks and stuff like that, and how much money that guy's made for however many passes he's attempted. I don't know. Has he thrown like 160 passes in his career, and he's been around and made
Forever.
like 30, 40 million or something? Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely nuts. Just trying to compare what they're paying these quarterbacks. Dak Prescott. Yikes. I'm just waiting for the shoes to fall on Baker and Lamar here, because nothing would make me happier than to see the Browns and Ravens not have any cap space, because they're always talking smack about the Steelers. You know what? This is something we should rewind about. Some people are like, the Steelers are cheap. How come they're always up against the cap? Well, they should be, because they're paying the guys that they develop and that they draft, and they're paying them, and they're paying them the way they want to. They're not overpaying for someone else, getting into a bidding war for a player that's coming off of another team. So, you could see that with Bud Dupree, where other teams are going to do that and the Steelers are priced out, and it's more or less because they've been paying other guys over the years. And some people are like, oh, Ben Roethlisberger overpaid. Man, he's never really been overpaid or really the highest paid, and if he's ever gotten close, somebody else or someone else's signed contracts almost instantly and put that out of range. So It's not that they're cheap. It's not that they underpay anyone or won't pay anyone. It's that they operate tight to the cap. And you have teams, Labriola talked about this, how did the Jaguars end up like $80 million under the cap? Because they only have 4 players earning over $5 million. They got rid of all of their star players, and what have they done since, that unfortunate 2017 season where they made the AFC title game? They haven't done anything. They got rid of everybody. So they're still looking for a quarterback again. I mean, is that how you really want to be, or would you rather be the team that retains some guys like the grown-ass man, Cam Hayward, or soon-to-be T.J. Watt? He's going to get a heck of a deal, and all kinds of players over the years are going out. They have spent money. They went out and got Joe Hayden. They went out and got Steven Nelson. It's not like they're entirely frugal here. Frugal is actually a better word than cheap. I prefer frugal. Anyways, just one of many things on my mind here as I'm going through the list. Sean Davis, Jordan Berry, J. Ron Elliott, Chris Wormley, Jordan Dangerfield, Danny Isidora. He was on the roster? Okay. Probably won't be this year.
I saw that and I'm like, who?
Cameron,
I sort of remember.
Cameron Sutton, James Conner. We'll come back to that. Ray McLeod. This is an interesting, probably the better returner than they've had in years since AB left that role.
As long as they don't fall in love with this jet sweep nonsense and all the other silliness that they tried to do with him, just let him be a returner, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all right with that. Gerald Hawkins, who they reacquired off the practice squad from the Texans, I believe. They originally drafted him. He's one of many offensive linemen that we're going to talk when we have an actual offensive lineman chat here, because people are like, they haven't invested in the position. Well, this is one of the guys they invested in, and it didn't work out. He got hurt.
Yeah.
Like, he got hurt, banged up, and then kind of lost his spot to other guys. Will he be back? That all depends on what else they do here, free agency and draft. I don't know if there's a market for him. And again, it's another player that he is a restricted free agent. So is Ray McLeod, by the way. So Ray goes out, gets an offer from somewhere, which he probably won't. Then there'll be some sort of there's no type of original tender or anything on him, because I believe he was undrafted, correct? So
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to verify that though, because again, I hate round six. It doesn't matter. It's too late in the draft, I think, for that to calculate or factor into. I think it only goes out to 3 rounds or something like that, Brian. I think something like that with the original round tender. My brain's mush. Don't worry, we'll hear all about this from all the talking heads on all the various NFL programs, and we'll come back to you with the information we get from them. Anyway, Josh Dobbs. I don't expect Josh Dobbs back. Dwayne Haskins kind of sealed the deal on that.
Well,
he's unrestricted too.
Depends on what Dwayne does.
Is he coming to camp?
Possible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I really don't think
Maybe
so.
not. I mean, I think you know what you got with Josh Dobbs, so I
don't know. Marcus Allen. He's an exclusive rights free agent, so I expect him back, as I do.
They actually just signed him.
Oh, did they?
1-year deal. Yeah.
Did I just miss that? Everything is
they just
Fast and
signed
Furious. Okay, so that one's off the books. How about Robert Spillane? Are we getting Bobby Spillane Spilly
I
news
got
yet?
I got no Spillane news, but I would imagine that they bring Robert Spillane back
Oh, there's no way.
if they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Us trying to get on this show. I saw that. I just saw that. I was looking the Twitter here. Hey, I didn't have it up on,
yes,
I didn't have it up on my screen. I have a photo of Jordan Dangerfield in front of me. All right. Last one. Last one of this quick rapid fire round here. Ola Sukanami Adene. I think I nailed that one this time.
They might bring him back.
He's restricted free agent too.
Oh,
yeah.
If he's restricted, then yeah, I think.
Yeah, I pretty much think all the exclusive rights guys for sure, the restricted guys, they'll all be there too, no doubt about it. I think that's everyone that was on this because I believe J.C. Hassenauer was an exclusive rights. They just inked him a couple days ago as well. So I guess let's start with the elephant in the room. This is going to be the toughest one because kind of everything else kind of plays off of this. Bob Labriola maybe got some heat off of this one too, is asking about Bud Dupree. And with Ben's new contract, will the Steelers be able to sign Juju Smith-Schuster or Bud Dupree? And he just simply answers no. And then he gets into a little more detail with a little more here. And somebody else was a big, long question here about an assessment of Bud Dupree. They said he didn't show the same skill set as TJ did early in his career. He truly only blossomed in his final 2 years, one cut short by a serious knee injury. That's not necessarily true either. He was kind of going to do the draft day thing with the note. Bud, nothing else mattered. Hey, I'm on board with you. Hold on. I'm getting there. If he got tagged again, because he got tagged last year, the reported number is around $19 million, which the Steelers can't afford that. So some news squirted out earlier that the Steelers probably won't use a franchise tag on anyone.
Sorry.
You don't know what you're doing.
I was hoping that I was just going to rotate the image, not me.
Man, it's driving me nuts. You're lucky I don't get seizures from that type of stuff. I'd be seizing up right now, all the fast motion. But anyways, yeah, it took some time. He says it took some time for for Dupree to get comfortable with what the Steelers seek in a 3-4 outside linebacker. Shouldn't be held against him now. That's the most important part of all this. In college, he played a 3-point stance as a defensive lineman, was never used in college, and he was 22 years old when he was an NFL rookie. And now he's 6'4", 269 pounds of speed and strength and power, understands the demands of the position and has the physical tools to execute all of those demands. Man, that is some Pulitzer Prize winning sentence writing right there, Labs. I know he doesn't listen, but Dupree, in my opinion, the only way this can be done is if it's like a deal like they originally had done a few years ago with your favorite man, the grown-ass one, Cam Hayward. Basically a low base salary, some signing bonus up front that is spread out over the terms of probably what I would assume would be maybe a 4-year deal. I would want Bud back. And a lot of people are going to say, hey, they got Alex Highsmith. And Alex Highsmith showed to be capable. He was also a rookie. You're still going to have some growing pains with that. And then you have nothing else behind them. But I think Dupree, of his own, is on another level right now. Not only does he make TJ Watt better, but the amount of highlights that the clips and videos they put up on the site of strip sacks from Bud Dupree, punching the ball out from other players. Yeah, it's not something that you replace, and it's something that's hard to assign a monetary value to. Yeah,
look, I've made no bones about it. In many ways. Like I've said from the get-go that I think Alex Highsmith is a stud. I've been very excited about Alex Highsmith, and I like Alex Highsmith quite a bit, but he's not Bud Dupree right now. He might be Bud Dupree down the road. He might be better than Bud Dupree down the road. He's not right now. And right now, Bud Dupree is pretty damn good. And you forget a bunch of the stuff that he does that isn't splash plays. He plays the run right now better than Alex Highsmith does. He punches the ball out. He finishes better than Alex Highsmith does right now. He probably covers better than Alex Highsmith does right now, although Alex Highsmith did a surprisingly good job at that last year. It's the one area that I thought would be a problem potentially for him. He's there is no question in my mind that Alex Highsmith has the upside to be as good, maybe better than Bud Dupree is, but that's upside and it's down the road. Right now, would I be much happier having Bud Dupree, TJ Watt, and Alex Highsmith as my rotation or my depth if something happens? Shoot, yeah. Hell yeah. So, look, it's like I showed Bud, no matter what. That's all I care about. That's not really all I care about. There's actually one other name which we'll get to that I care about. But for the most part, it's Bud, no matter what.
Yeah, and Spot Track just keeps throwing out like all kinds of crazy predictions. They got one here with a $12 million 1-year deal with the Chiefs for Bud Dupree. I don't know the Steelers necessarily. For 1 year, they're not going to pay 12. Look, Bud Dupree's coming off a knee injury. That would have him making less money than he did last year. It is a team that was just in the Super Bowl.
Unlikely that he's going to do that.
But for 1 year, and the professor was arguing this in the back rooms, he's saying, if anything, he's going to look for more guaranteed money, which is not something the Steelers throw around, and that's going to be, the linchpin to this whole deal. But I was saying, we said this with Ryan Shazier many times on this program. The Steelers still pay what they owe. They honored that contract regardless of his, physical condition and situation. And even though they don't do the guaranteed money type stuff, well, Le'Veon Bell was the big thing where we kept banging the drum on this too.
And had he taken the deal the Steelers offered him, he'd have made more money.
He would have made more money, and the Steelers aren't ones. It's cap friendly. Sometimes to convert some of this stuff into certain bonuses, not up front, but maybe like next season or something like that. And a lot of people, I know you're listening. You're like, Joe, how are they going to do this? They still got to pay TJ Watt. They still got to pay. Look at the offensive side of the ball. Cap goes way up.
Cap's going to go way up.
We're thinking the cap's going to be higher than we were anticipating anyways, which may help them. They've had some things that have been pay cut, new contract, spreading that out a little bit. That definitely helps. That's getting them about even Steven here. But Pouncey retired. Vance McDonald retired. I could see some other things being done. Maybe Stephon Tuitt, Joe Hayden, maybe an extension there. Another year, you spread some money out. Maybe 2 years and kind of understand he's not going to play beyond maybe 21 or 22 because he's already going to be, 32 years of age. We've already said that too. And I don't know about him being a cap casualty. We're going to talk about Hilton and Sutton here too, because you just don't go from building this secondary to having to completely blow it up and rebuild it again either. But they don't have to pay Minka for a couple years. They don't have to pay Devin Bush for a little longer than that too. Edmonds and Minka will be at the same time. Watt is on a 5th-year option right now, so that'll be in the coming year. I think it's going to be very top-heavy on the defensive side of the ball, especially considering, if we're going to talk about Juju, we're going to talk about Connor. Those guys don't come back. Who are you paying on the offensive side of the ball? It almost looks like this is going to be Ben's last ride this year. And then quarterback position, quarterback position is going to probably come cheap because they're either going to ride with Rudolph or Haskins or draft a guy or something else, or there's not going to be like some big name free agent that they would have to make like a blockbuster Jared Goff, Matt Stafford type trade, and then they'd be taken off on some stupid contract that they honestly can't because then they wouldn't be able to pay TJ Watt or anybody like that. So I do think it's something that they might be able to fudge some numbers and figure out some way to do something like that. The only thing is it's going to really hinder. You can't keep them all. This isn't Pokemon. You can't collect them all. That's just the reality of it. And I just think Bud is, look, these games toward the end of the season, losing streak, you're in a 3-4 defense. I understand they don't always play base, but these guys are out there on the field. You didn't have 2 of that 4 in the 3-4. You didn't have Devin Bush or Bud Dupree, and it really showed. And then when Highsmith went down, that was even worse. And then you didn't have Joe Hayden either in either of the games, revenge games he could have played against the Browns. So that's the way I'm looking at this going, forward. You're going to get Bush back because he was injured, but I really think Bud Dupree had that big of an impact. Now, that's the way I see it. Is maybe they're not going to spend the money on the offensive side of the ball. What kind of free agents are they really going to go after, offensive line or anything? I think they're going to build through the draft. I think they're going to retain a few of these guys. Like we just mentioned, Matt Fowler or Zach Banner, they're not coming in for big dollars if they're coming back. Gerald Hawkins is a depth guy. None of those are big contracts. The biggest contracts you still have is maybe Eric Ebron. Your backfield
Yeah.
doesn't have any big contract. You're not paying an Antonio Brown. You have no wide receivers that are big contract. There's literally just Ben, and he took a pay cut and stretched it all out. There's no money being spent on offense, and you're looking all ahead at defense, in my opinion. And again, this year affected 21, affected by COVID, but maybe not so much the other following years.
Right. No, I think that's true. Look, these things tend to run in cycles as it is, but they've done a good job of creating a defense that is basically very young, and they got to the point where now some of those numbers are going to come up, and they happen to be lucky enough that they're going to be transitioning on offense. I know people are out there, well, what about Juju? And we'll talk about that, but please remember that in the lifetime of this team, there's here's, as the kids say, here's the tweet. Here's the list of wide receivers who've gotten a second contract. Antonio Brown, Hines Ward.
Yeah.
All done. We're done. We're done talking. That's it. That's the list. So the likelihood that Juju is going to get a second contract, probably not too high. Would I like him to? Sure. But I don't know. It depends. If let's say he goes out on the market and finds that, what does Spot Track have his value at? Something like $16.1 million or something like that.
Who, Juju?
Yeah.
80.
If he goes
says
out
5 years, $80 million with Miami is their prediction.
Okay. So $5 million. What is that?
Why are they throwing him to Miami for? I don't know. Does Miami just have an obscene amount of money? They
Yes,
might have
they
a
do,
need with wide receiver, but is Juju the guy? That's what people are going to talk about since we've already jumped to Juju. And Juju kind of coincides with Bud, because if you do Bud, you're not doing Juju.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend the money on one or the other, in my opinion. Those are the two highest priced guys here.
The likelihood that you can spend on both is slim to none.
Yeah. And the second contracts, though, how many guys were actually worth a second contract? For years, they didn't have wide receivers worth a flip. You're going to pay Ernie Mills and Jeff Graham. And Yancey, though, Yancey had one of the highest contracts to go into they became the Titans, or maybe they were still Tennessee Oilers or whatever during that move. He did get paid, but the Steelers didn't pay him either. They traded Antonio. Yep. So really the only guy, who else was there? Troy Edwards, and trying to think who else was part of all this. Plaxico. That's about the only guy.
Emmanuel Sanders. But
the young money crew.
You were going to have either Antonio or Emmanuel. Mike Wallace. It's all the same thing. It's one of them was going to get paid, and the rest weren't.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't because you had Heath. You did have Ben. You had Troy Polamalu. You had Casey Hampton. You had all
Harrison.
Of these.
Yep, you had everybody.
All these legit guys. And then even at that same time, they shelled out for Lamar Woodley. That's kind of where I was going with the Bud Dupree thing. People were thinking you can't pay both. They gave him like a landmark contract, and they already had significant money invested in James Harrison at the same time as well.
Yep.
It's just the way I feel about it, and it's not like they didn't have Ferrier foot left and then came back. His free agency little thing didn't pan out there. They had a little bit more of, I'd say, team friendly. It's not like Ike Taylor didn't make a buck or two playing either, but it wasn't like, top shelf type money there. So, we still got a lot of guys to talk about. But I guess it's more or less, how can you do this? Are you talking crazy talk? If they don't do Bud, I think Ben's been advocating for Juju. I've said to myself, Juju, 25 years old? He's super young. He can still get 2 contracts.
He could.
And, he's not a wide receiver 1. Look, what he was asked to do is kind of like Hines Ward quietly piled up 1,000 receptions right on the nose over the course of his career. A lot of tough yards. Yes, he has a Super Bowl MVP, but blocking, physical, getting nasty, and playing with that smile, all those things describe Juju Smith-Schuster as well. I think he's very selfless. I think he's also made it known, as well as his mama that's on Instagram has been saying some stuff too. I don't think they're out the woods as far as a possibility that he could return to the Steelers. It's about that almighty dollar, though, man. And like I said, if they shell out, I don't care how much you kick ahead. You can't kick much more ahead and also try and bring back Juju and Dupree. I don't think you could do both. It just doesn't work that way.
That number would have to go much higher than we anticipated going for this year for that to happen. And the real question, again, is in a room that already has, Deontay Johnson, that has Chase Claypool, you don't have a Juju body inside there without that, right? You don't have that kind of receiver. But, Claypool could probably take inside reps if he had to. You can move things around. Is what you have to invest in Juju where you want to put your money, and can you do? It's not even just can you do Bud, because you can't do Bud and Juju, but can you do Juju and also Cam Sutton or Mike Hilton? I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces here. It's where do you put the value for the team, right? For the team, not just for the player. I mean, is Juju worth $16 million? Is anybody worth $16 million a year? I don't know. But if that's the realistic value of what he's going to get on the free agent market, can you afford to find a way to give him that kind of money? I mean, you can, and is he? Juju is a smart guy too, right? So it's not just, and I'm sure he's got smart agents, and he's got a smart mother, right? They know the deal, they know the situation. Are they going to sign a contract that's not laden with guarantees, right? That projects a lot of money down the road and pushes it off, maybe gives him a nice signing bonus, right? But then some of that money is known you're never going to get it, right? Because maybe you're going to be able to get out of that contract later in the season, in year 4. I mean, admittedly, the Steelers don't usually do that kind of thing, but they're also probably not going to, give him that kind of contract either. That is, I just don't know. I don't know. I
get it.
Of the group, I just don't. I think that's the thing. Chances are slim.
The group makes you say, well, what's easier to replace, wide receiver or an edge rusher?
Wide receiver.
Yeah,
it just
exactly.
is. I'm sorry. There's 50 million of them in every draft.
And it doesn't even matter that they have the stable that they already have. James Washington will be in a contract year, so you could pretty much say la vie with him too. But Deontay will be there another 2 more years, and Chase Claypool 3 for sure. And even if they sign Juju, we're talking about those guys coming up with contracts probably Juju's probably not signing 5 years, I wouldn't think, but it would be maybe toward the latter half of like whatever his contract is. We never got to that point with Brown because Martavis Bryant couldn't stay on the field or in the league, so we never did get to discover if that was a possibility. But we also saw, they invested with Brown over Mike Wallace, the proven commodity at that time, and it just seems like they're willing to say goodbye to wide receivers because for the reason I said, who's easier to replace? At that time, would it have been easier to replace Lamar Woodley or Mike Wallace? You know what I mean? Obviously, Mike Wallace.
Yeah, and that's the case.
And his replacement was on the roster, so it makes it even easier, and that's the way we're looking at this right now. So as the business of football, as much as we might like Juju and everything like that, he's still not the guy that I'm most advocating for. I know you put up the little draft day post-it note. What was it? Bud and no one else.
Bud, no matter what.
Cam Sutton and no one else. That's mine. I've been really harping on it. I'm telling you, I like what I see as far as splash plays. I
want Cam Sutton too, but
3 forced fumbles. He rips the ball from people. He could play pretty much anywhere on the field. He flirts as a safety. He flirts as a nickel or dime backer. He could play on the outside and has when Joe Hayden or Steven Nelson hasn't been there. And I think he's the future at that position. And then you got to start thinking about the future. Again, when you put him up against Mike Hilton, and I love Mike Hilton. I think Mike Hilton, it'd be hard-pressed to have the same type of success. And this is the same thing with just about anyone. Could Juju? Yeah, sure. Can Bud? I think Bud has the tools, but it depends on the system and the team and the fit. I would hate to see him go to like Jacksonville or the Jets or something like that and just squander it all away for the extra pay. But that's entirely their decision. That's their decisions to make. Mike Hilton, I think the Steelers system makes him better. Is he a good fit for it too? Yes, he's obviously a talented player. We're calling him Mighty Mouse. Covers tight ends, breaks up passes, used with all of these exotic blitz schemes. But I think the price tag that's going to be commanded for that, someone's going to pay him a lot more than the Steelers are willing to. And I think that's still another position when you're looking at easier to replace a corner like Joe Hayden, or easier to replace a nickel corner that isn't always on the field. And for me, it's harder to replace Joe Hayden. And if you already got kind of his replacement waiting in the wings that can also play this year maybe in Mike Hilton's spot, then I want a contract to go to Sutton. What kind of contract though? Because Cortez Allen got 4 years, $32 million that one time. obscene.
That was a big mistake that they ended up made. But
second worst to Woodley. But at the time, it made sense, and then it didn't work out.
Here's the thing: Cam Sutton's 26, Mike Hilton's 27. On Spot Track, they have the estimated market value for Mike Hilton at $7.8 million a season. On Spot Track, they have the estimated value for Cam Sutton on a per season basis at 7.2. That doesn't mean they're right. That's where they're estimating. And the reason is because of that. We have to be prepared that neither of them is back because there's a good chance they can't sign either one of them. But I'm with you 100%. If you can only pick one, I take Cam Sutton. Not because I don't like Mike Hilton. I love Mike Hilton. But I think Cam Sutton has more versatility. He's a year younger. I think you just got to go that way.
Yeah, I agree. And it's the old Highlander rules. There can only be one. And in
this
case,
only one, yes.
In this case, too, I still think it's Bud or Juju, and then Hilton or Sutton. I think they can do Bud and Sutton. I think they can get
I think they can, too. I agree.
I don't know that they can do Bud and Hilton. They could do Juju and Hilton, maybe, or Juju and Sutton. But I think Bud is going to have the biggest price tag of all of these guys when you're trying to factor in and chart all this out.
Bud's going to be $15 million or more.
Yeah. Well-deserving.
Yeah.
I mean,
but... that's just the way it is. You got to accept that, right? So you try and combine that with what you get for, I guess you could do both Mike and Cam for that money, but somebody's going to overpay for Mike Hilton. I'm just at 7.8. I just think somebody's going to overpay, and as soon as they do that, it just is what it is. I agree with you 100%. This is the truth right here.
There can only be one.
There can be only one.
Yeah. Well, I told you that. Actually, it was pretty funny. What was it? Yesterday was International Women's Day or something like that, and the official Ghostbusters page put out a post, and it had pictures of all of the different females, like Annie Potts and then Sigourney Weaver, and it said all the women who played the roles in the Ghostbusters movies. Of course, the all-female cast one, too. And then it was funny because I'm looking there, and I didn't see Dana. Only Zool.
Only Zool.
There is no Dana. But anyways, I think we still
Sigourney Weaver.
That's what I said. There's a picture, but of course it was Dana, but there's no Dana. In fact, it was the spot. It was like in that same spot of the movie too, which made it even better for the comment.
I used to have the hots for Annie Potts.
I did like that commercial. I forgot who put that commercial out, but the old slap the phone. We got one, and it was like something similar to that. They just redid that whole thing, which was great, including the set, the fire station. Man, this place is great. It was a dump. But anyway, some movie stuff for everyone. We need to do a variety show, Brian. I don't know how we get people to follow us from there, from here to there, but whatever. It's the happy hour with Joe and Brian.
Joe and Brian. What are we talking about today? Who knows?
Yeah, don't know. We don't ever know what we're talking about or what we're going to end up talking about. I think there's two more guys we have not mentioned. Two players here specifically. Let's go with Tyson Alualu. I bring him back. I would
bring him back. Absolutely.
Career resurgence, former first-round pick, has a defined role, only plays about half the snaps, either as a nose tackle or a rotational tackle or end, however they line him up with rotating in for Tuitt or Hayward when you have – I hate that it's like it's a four-man front, but it's really not because it's technically you're supposed to be they're 3-4, three defensive linemen and your outside linebackers, but they put TJ and Bud over there, and then just usually have Hayward and Tuitt, and then maybe Hilton's running around. They use an extra DB or whatever, but Alualu will come in there and spell those guys, or if it looks like
and can play, he can play the middle, he can play the zero role.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
He had such a resurgent year last year and played so well in when he was asked to play more than normal. I would love to see Tyson Alualu come back, and I think he would be happy to come back. And I don't think that's a guy that's looking for a giant payday.
No, he's finally found his role after maybe thinking, this is a very real thought for a player like Tyson Alualu. Is your career over with Jacksonville? It's not working out. This team is just dumpster fire multiple times over. And people tend to forget, too, he got banged up a little bit in the middle of the season and what an impact he had made, especially against the run. That's where I was going with the 0, was when they actually do have the 3-4 base defense out there, maybe 30% of the time. He averaged, well, he didn't play every game. So it's 41% of the snaps, but he missed 72 snaps against Dallas in its entirety. His high was the second Ravens game at 83%, and again against Cleveland in the final week because they sat Hayward there. Otherwise, even though he's up there, he's like, is he 33?
34.
He's 34
34.
already? 33, May 12th. May 12th. Yeah, it might say that. It might say that there.
They may round up.
He's going to be 34 if he plays this season because his birthday is May 12th, so he'll turn 34. Then he's 33 currently. A lot of people are going to say, "Man, that's old. How can you invest in these old players?" There's precedent. There's precedent for guys. Casey Hampton, Kimo von Oelhoffen played the 35, and Brett Kiesel played the 36. With the Steelers, I want to say that they may have moved on. Hampton didn't, but I want to say Kimo Jacksonville or something. He played like an extra year or something, maybe a little bit older of an age. I looked up someone else too, but there is precedent that the Steelers will still hang on to these guys to their mid-30s.
And you're not paying that much. I mean, again, if $3-4 million a season for a guy like Tyson Alulu, that's and he only made 2.8 last year. So I mean, I don't think you're not talking about breaking the bank here. These are the kind of guys you're going to have to fill in anyway.
Yeah, and speaking of which, as I'm watching notices come up on my screen to make sure I don't miss anything else here, someone else is another of these sites is talking about Adam Schefter is reporting that the Packers did not place their franchise tag on running back Aaron Jones. He's headed to free agency. Not going to happen. Too much money. Would I like that? He's a very efficient scorer. Okay, he's gonna. They
are not going to spend big money on a running back in free agency. Not going to happen.
Not only do they not have it, again, what's easier to find? Aaron Jones. Hold on a second. What was he? 5th rounder? 6th rounder? I'm looking for it here. 5th round, 2017. Pick 182. That's where you can find an Aaron Jones. So for everyone who's like upset, you need to use a 1st-round pick. You need to get Javonte Williams. You need to get Najee Harris. This is why it's driving me crazy. Because guys like Alvin Kamara come out of like the 3rd round, or Kareem Hunt out of the 3rd round, or Aaron Jones out of the 5th round. And Jacksonville has James Robinson, who didn't even get drafted. Even the Steelers have precedent for that with Willie Parker. I don't want to. This is all leading into James Conner. This is our last free agent, by the way.
And for the guy who swears to us that we're going to have 4 running backs in the 1st round, please do not bring up bowling ball Maurice Jones-Drew's mock draft where he has three running backs going in the 1st round. Why? Because he's a running back. Doesn't count.
Maurice is full of Maurice.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's the guy that's full of. He caught the biggest fish and everything like that. He's like Al Bundy. He once scored 4 touchdowns in one game.
As I said with the professor last time around, if 4 running backs go in the 1st round, I will do the next podcast nude.
No. Well, at least film from the waist up.
You don't have to be on it. I'll just do it.
No, but that's going to get kicked us off. We're going to get kicked off of YouTube.
Well, I'm not going to show my junk on YouTube, but I'll wear no shirt. I'll probably just be in my drawers.
But dude, if we see your nipples, that's probably going to be way more than it's like our subscriber base went from here down to.
Brian showed us his nipples.
Yeah, and I mean,
all right, I'll wear pasties. How about that?
It sounds like James Conner wants to come back, but unlike, Kevin Colbert, he spoke about different players. He said he would love to keep Bud Dupree. When you say that, they may actually make a concerted effort toward it. It didn't sound like he had the same love.
I think they love James Conner as an individual, as a storyline. But when you think about it from the business sense, and we've said it for all 4 years that he's been here, your best capability is availability, and he has not been consistently available. He had a better season last year, I think, staying away from injury, but he still got hurt and still missed time.
This gave us a scare too. Week 1.
Yeah, and he doesn't his running style is such that he's going to get those kind of injuries. I like James Conner, and I've said it from the get-go. If they can keep him at a team-friendly rate, and he fades as your secondary runner, I'm okay with that. But I don't know that he wants to do that, nor do I know that the Steelers are going to do that. They've got guys in place at this point. They've spent draft picks on other running backs who can be maybe not exactly what James Conner is when he's at his best, but close. And look, they're going to have to, at some point in this draft, they're going to draft a running back. I just have no doubt about it.
Yeah. I'm not saying that they won't. I'm just saying I don't know that I blow my wad on.
No, they're not going to
in the first round. That pick 24.
I will not. As I told Zach this. I will not. If all of the premium tackles are gone, which they could very well be at 24, if there's a run on tackles, and you've got ATN sitting there at 24, I don't want Najee Harris. I mean, if they take him, but if my choice is ATN or Najee Harris, I'm going with ATN. But
I like Javonte myself.
I want Javonte Williams too. I just don't want him in the first round.
I wouldn't be upset. Maybe I don't even know that ATN. Maybe. I mean, Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network just mocked Javonte Williams.
Yeah, I saw that
at 24.
At 24. If there's nothing else, it seems high. It seems high to me, and I just don't buy that 3 running backs are going in the first round. I don't buy that 2 running backs are going in the first round. I think either Najee Harris or Travis Etienne drops into the early second round. That's what I think.
Oh, absolutely, just like Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. It's a bitter pill to swallow because I've just seen what's happened at the running back position. Is it devalued? Absolutely, it is. The guys who got paid, we went through all that. Go back 3 weeks ago. We went through that whole list. I don't need to do it all again. That's pretty much why James Conner, I think, on the way out, they spent draft picks last 2 drafts. You could say Benny Snell, whatever, what's it, who's it, what's it. Hey, there's a new whatchamacallit candy bar, too. It's a who's he, what's it, or something. Yeah.
Who's it, what's it bar?
Yeah, it's
I don't
some
need that crap
fan.
anymore.
Yeah, I know. I don't either. It was one of my favorites. And you know what? My mom will spoil me every now and then. I go back. She buys a few, sits them on the side because you just can't find them anywhere. But they have like a spin-off of that. It's in a red wrapper instead of like the, I don't know, beige packaging or whatever. And it's similar. It's very similar. But it's the same thing. It's a whatchamacallit, who's he, what's it, whatever, what's it, easy, who's it. You could say all of that about Benny Snell. And then some, but he's had a few 100-yard games. He's shown when he gets the rock and gets some carries. I just think when they put him in the offensive line, obviously a problem last year, and when you only put him in that short yardage situations, I don't think that's necessarily his bag, especially when we talk about snap counts and you go under center with Benny Snell in the backfield. Like it's like an 88% chance they're going to run the ball, especially when it's like third down, even first down. Doesn't really matter. Oh, that's just appetizing to see the whatchamacallit. So I wish there was a way I could pop the other thing up on the screen just to show everyone. But I found it at Walgreens. It's brand new. If you're a candy bar or whatever person, go for it. I don't know that I have I have to find the photo of it. I don't have it handy, unfortunately. So, anyways, yeah. It doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily roll with just Snell and McFarland, but they're not on the roster just to sit and collect dust either. It is a who's he, what's it. It is a who's he, what's it. That's what it is, a who's he, what's it from whatchamacallit. From Sheboygan.
There you go.
Puxatawny. We already mentioned Puxatawny. How many times can we fit Puxatawny into this show? We're gonna
more than I thought. I cannot find the who's he, what's it candy bar picture, so I can't make a picture for the background.
We'll find it. I've got it for you because you know what? This is the kind of guy I am. So we'll throw that up in a second as I'm trying to. Why does Penn Live have it? It's just some of these news outlets. This must be really big breaking news to be covered so heavily. I know I'm excited about it, obviously. So I don't know. Benny Snell, Anthony McFarland, and Bobby Labriola brought this up too, that a draft pick is going to, because somebody brought up Marlon Mack in the Asked and Answered on Steelers.com. And it was, Bob said it as we always say it. If you make this, or if you, now you got me distracted again, darn it. Paying an unrestricted free agent is going to be I never want to try a butt break. I don't know what that is. I'm going to need it. I've been sitting in this chair too long.
Cadbury butt break candy bar. I never heard of such a thing.
They have something else overseas. It's only in the UK too that Cadbury makes, and I forget what it is now. It was a special cream egg or something, and it might be beer flavored. I don't really know. But anyway, the Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack is just too much money.
So what?
It's going to be cheap. He makes the point, drafting a player, it's going to be cheaper to pay a draft pick, like a rookie player, than to bring in somebody from somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just makes too much sense. And they're going to have some compensatory picks coming, at least one. I think these mock draft simulators are mocking them too. So
they might be.
Yeah, they may.
I don't know because I make it mess it up so badly that it doesn't have the right things in it anymore.
You know what? I was almost going to mention B.J. Finney, but I'm going to table that for the outside free agents. Since my opinion changed on that, I have a couple offensive linemen that I'm looking at, and practically no running backs, including Marlon Mack. So I think this is where we leave it, Brian. You already have me distracted enough, but I think I hit all of the bullet points that I didn't even have listed.
Want to hit. There you go.
But, yeah, that's where
beautiful.
I'm at. So just to run down, we would love Bud Dupree back. We think it is a high-dollar item and an improbability. And that can make it difficult also for Juju Smith-Schuster. Cam Sutton is my top guy over Mike Hilton. If you want both, great, fantastico. James Conner, probably not going to happen. Matt Filer, Zach Banner, might be bringing them back. If they bring Matt Filer back, does he continue to start at guard, or do they work him in at tackle? That's another thing we're going to be talking about.
Depends on what they do in the draft.
With the other offensive line stuff, that's something we're going to be talking about.
And what happens with Kevin Dotson, yes.
Yeah, we all like Kevin Dotson, and we'll be talking about David DeCastro. Here's another guy with a big contract that could be off the books shortly, too, depending on how much longer he wants to play in the NFL. I don't know. How many years left does DeCastro have? I got to look at this now. Of course, I'm on the free agency thing, and he's not one of them, so I don't have it up. David DeCastro, I want to say, final year. So there's not a restructure. He would be extended.
Yeah, he'd be extended. And you could reduce this year's cap number by doing it.
You could do that. I don't know. Does he play? They've got him listed as 31 here. How many more years does he play?
He's an offensive lineman. He could play longer.
Yeah, but this is the thing. The Steelers don't typically, I said that it's the opposite. It's the antithesis of the defensive lineman in free agency. They don't usually pay offensive linemen that are starting to hit. Once they're like around this mid-30-ish age, it's like, I mean, that was the Alan Faneca deal. That was the big sticking point. No matter how good, any great Hall of Famer, right? Pouncey looking at retirement. Ramon Foster, Ramon got up to 33. So, I mean, you could see Dave around for another year or two easily.
Could.
And if he was playing banged up or hurt and hadn't regressed, and that was the only reason. I think some of it was the players next to him. They hadn't really had a chance to gel. And then when you have J.C. Hassenauer taking snaps instead of Pouncey, those things, that all affects everything. And then he was hurt himself. He had Kevin Dotson in his place for some time. So I think there was a lot of other shenanigans going on with David DeCastro. I think healthy and coming in fresh and ready to play. I think we'll see a different player. Will he still maintain the same high level that he's always played at? That's a different question. These guys start to get up there in age. But yet another player after this year, his cap number is 14.2. I was trying to see what else. 14. Yep, 14.3 for all intents and purposes. And they have it listed on over to cap as 7.7% of the Steelers' current cap number. So you think about that coming away and how they could do something maybe for Dupree. Maybe they don't expect Big Dave back next year either. That's going to be a lot of turnover on that offensive line. We'll be talking about that, but still, we're about a week away because we got all this crazy free agent news. We'll talk about maybe some other wish lists here in the coming days. I think we are up against it, Brian. I was looking at my watch here, so thank you for joining me once again, my friend.
Always a pleasure. It's good to have the team. It's good to get the band back together.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm going nuts, man. I'm going to leave it at that. Everybody will see soon enough. Hopefully, I'll have some other new surroundings around me. So it's been a crazy process in getting on the same schedule with you guys, and hopefully we could bang out a few more of these. We may actually do the other one sooner rather than later, but we're waiting to see. We got all the franchise tag names that are on all the players that have been. There's a few others that hadn't been. We'll be talking about those in the coming days as wish lists or not wish lists. I'm just going to say the Steelers didn't use a tag, obviously, on Juju. He shows up as one of the priority free agents here, as he should. But that doesn't mean that the Steelers are going to have money to just go grab Kenny Golladay instead. So let's be sensible, and we'll be talking about that shortly. Any more parting words?
Bud, no matter what.
Bud, no matter what. I'm telling you, Cam Sutton, there's just something. I could be wrong about it, but
I'm in Jersey now, and I want Bud.
Bud Wise.
No, not Budweiser, just
It's
Bud.
the Frogs, man.
I know, but I don't want that kind of Bud. I want Bud.
Bud. Is it legal? Is it legal in New Jersey?
Yeah, the dispensaries are not currently open yet, but yes,
Yeah,
it is
not
now
yet.
legal in New Jersey.
Go around. Ohio's not there yet, but I don't care one way or another. It don't matter to me. We know
Bud, no matter what.
Bud, no matter what. You know, I don't even want to know how Elvin Dupree got the nickname Bud. We don't know that.
Don't know anything about it. Don't care. It doesn't matter. Alvin, no matter what. There you
Maybe
go.
Buddy. Alvin, no matter what. It just doesn't strike fear in you the same way. Oh man, I don't mean to.
Who are you facing off in? When you're facing off against Bud, that's mean. Facing off against Alvin, then it's a chipmunk. It's not good.
Yeah, and I had a neighbor. His nickname was June for Junior. He was named after his father, who was Alfred. He never went by Al or Alfred. It was always June or Junior. And after I found that out, then it was like,
hey, Alfred.
A little bit of teasing going on. But he was older than me and could have, whipped my ass. So I didn't do too much there. So, all right. And then parting shots here. Albert Breer is reporting that Cowboys have not filed a franchise tag on Dak Prescott. So,
what a surprise. Wow, that's big news considering the other news.
That's some Mark Madden level of reporting there. Some
wow.
journalism. So
wow, that's just insightful.
Yep, very insightful. So we got a number of players that we're going to be talking about in the coming days. So Brian, thanks for joining me once again. Everyone, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to put a bow on this now as we've been silly and crazy, and it usually happens more when me and Bri here don't get to talk as often. So maybe we'll. For those of you who say we banter too much, sorry, it is the off season. What else is there but banter? So I will leave you with that. Until next time, my name's Joe. His name is Brian. We encourage everyone out there, as per the usual, to remain safe, stay safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.